Hello and welcome to the 140k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a huge thank you to Colton Berry for sending in some awesome pictures of his Crestolyn Mountain Division. I actually really like this colour scheme. I really like the conversions. The basing actually is very impressive. I've never had the balls to do snowy bases. I've always found them very intimidating, and when I see them done and done well, I'm very impressed. So absolutely fantastic pictures, Colton. Very impressed with the basic. And that Vanquisher Eradicator combo on that tank, yeah, blown away. Looked great. So thanks for these pictures in, Colton. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, then please post them on my Facebook page or email them directly to me at mordianglorytv@gmail.com. And don't worry, you don't have to remember that because there'll be links and emails down in the description below. One other thing I'd like to mention just briefly is I do have a Patreon page. If you do want to support the channel, please head on over there. There's no levels, there's no minimum, there's no maximum. None of my videos are monetized. I try to have as few videos as possible, few adverts as possible. And I just want to say, whilst I'm at it, huge thank you to all my current Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. And I know I say it every time, and I know I've been saying it more and more recently, but I don't want that to diminish the fact that without you guys, this channel just wouldn't be where it is today. And the growth and the improvement in quality and everything that I've been able to do over the last few years has been entirely funded by just fantastic and loyal Patreon supporters. So thanks, guys. I do genuinely really appreciate it. Anyway, enough of that soppy stuff. You know, we're in the guard now. We've got to steel ourselves and get into the tactics video. So today, guys, what I want to do is actually not a tactics video, but I want to do a fixing the rules video. And what I want to do is take a look at the red-headed stepchild of Imperial Guard armoured divisions and motor pools, and that is the Taurox. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, the Taurox it's had a bit of a checkered history. It has always been the transport that has lingered in the shadow of its venerable older brother, the Chimera. See, the Torox is actually, I say, new transport. It's definitely a relatively new transport for the Guard. And when it was first released, it received some pretty mixed responses. And I had to say that the Torox does not photograph well. Okay, it just doesn't. But when you actually build one and get one in real life, the strange little quad track assembly does actually look quite good, and I quite like it. And because the vehicle is it's actually significantly smaller than a Chimera. It actually works quite well. I think the pictures make it look really tall and really boxy. But when you've got one in the flesh, they actually look quite good. Now, I would just like to clarify that what I'm talking about here is the basic Guard Taurox. I'm not talking about the Taurox Prime. By and large, I would say that the Taurox Prime is a really good vehicle, and it does a very good job for the Scions. It's a nice transport for them, and it definitely is unique looking, and it fits in with that aesthetic of that army. So, 10 out of 10 Games Workshop, the Taurox Prime works well for the Scions. However, Games Workshop, we're going to have a talk, because the basic Taurox, it just doesn't work. It ain't working. It doesn't work. Look, I don't see any Guard players picking them over Chimeras. And I think the problem with the Taurox has always been that it's never really been able to get out of the shadow of the Chimera APC. I mean, the Chimera has always just been this iconic Guard transport, and the Taurox, yeah, it's never been able to separate itself from that. Now, back in the day, the Taurox did have this interesting, unique rule where it basically came with an inbuilt dozer blade or inbuilt rough terrain modification, which was, back in the day, vehicles could get snagged, they could get caught up, they could get immobilized on terrain, and unless you moved your vehicle into a bit of terrain, you rolled a dice, and on a 1, your vehicle got stuck. It could still shoot and everything, but it got stuck. But the Taurox had an inbuilt rule where you could re-roll the dice, which meant you had to get a 1 followed by a 1 to get stuck. Now that was okay, that was a good start, but it never really, it was never really enough to get over the fact that a lot of people just didn't like the look of the Taurox, and that it wasn't enough of a rule because it wasn't unique, because you could just take a dozer blade and a Chimera and achieve the same thing. So what I propose today, guys, is that the Taurox needs some unique rules. It needs a unique battlefield role. Okay, it needs to be able to do something that other guard vehicles can't do as well. Okay, now I definitely think that the Taurox Prime should get a version of its old all-terrain modification. It should get a version of that. I think, first things first, you say the Taurox Prime ignores all movement penalties. Okay, now that would put it in line with my suggestions for what Dozer Blades could do. Okay, and I think, you know, you should keep that, you should bring that back, but the Taurox should have that inbuilt. And by the way, I should say, any rules that I suggest the Taurox, I would also highly recommend go on to the Taurox Prime as well. But the Taurox Prime, if it didn't get any changes, would be fine, but the basic Taurox does need that update. So, firstly, it needs to have, it needs to just bring back its ability to go over any terrain. I mean, if it's going to have those goofy looking tracks, you might as well give it a rule for them, because otherwise they're just aesthetically poo. So that's the first thing you need to do. It gets an inbuilt Dozer Blade. Great, fantastic. It gives it a little bit of, you know, there's a lot of craters out there in 9th edition, and it gives it a good ability to get around that terrain feature. I'd also suggest you make it a blanket rule. So if someone does want to try and slap on a movement penalty from a psychic power, the Torox just ignores it. Now that might break the fourth wall a little bit, but again, it just shows that this thing is just almost, it's going to go where it's going to go. Okay, so that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing I would have is I would introduce some kind of overcharged engine, a bit like what the Blood Angels used to get. Some kind of turbo boost. What I'm saying, guys, is that this thing needs to be fast. Okay, in the fluff, it is described as a fast, rapid reaction vehicle. That's why the Scions love it. Okay, because it gets you there fast. Now, currently, it has a little extra pip of movement. It can move 14 inches versus the Chimeo's 12 inches. That's not enough. I would be highly tempted to up its speed to 16 inches. Okay, now that is a fast vehicle. That puts it in a bracket that no other vehicle in the guard is in apart from flyers. Okay, you know, Leman Russes, they're slow. Not even Hellhounds are going that fast. Okay, it makes it significantly faster than other units out there. Okay, by far. I'd also be tempted to give it potentially a once per game turbo boost option, or you just give it a turbo boost option where when it advances, you either make it auto advance 6 inches, which might be a little much, or you let it advance 2d6 and pick the highest. Okay, I'm happy with the 2d6 and pick the highest. You know, Imperium tech, it ain't super reliable. Like, I get that. So that would be cool. So what you're labeling this thing as, what you're making this thing out to be, is a very fast, maneuverable vehicle. Okay, that's what you're making this thing out to be, which is great. That in an edition where board control is key, being able to take a couple of Tauroxes or 3 Tauroxes and make like a little wall of armor and just cut off the middle of the board and start, you know, defending objectives with them, that is really valuable. That is a really valuable thing to have. Now, I'm not suggesting it gets all of these rules, but I am suggesting that it gets at least a combination of what I'm suggesting. So that would be my first sort of route with it. Make it, if it's going to be this fast breakthrough rapid reaction vehicle, then make it a fast breakthrough rapid reaction vehicle. Make it fast. Now, another thing that I would like to say is that I think it would be cool to add, well, of course it needs more weapon options. Double autocannon, it is a nice, unique weapon loadout for the Taurox, but I do think it needs other weapon options as well. I think that would be really cool. I think porting over some of the Scion weapons is a good start, but I think, you know, giving it access to, you know, double heavy flamer, that'd be really cool. Make it a bit like the Guard Immolator. You know, if you either give it access to double heavy flamer or give it its own special Taurox flame cannon. I think that's less likely because that would require a new kit, and I get that Games Workshop less likely to do it, but it's just an idea. Right now, it is a not particularly flexible weapon, and I know I've done a video recently on how the autocannon is jack of all trades, master of none. Totally get that, okay? But you also, and it is. But you do. The reason why the Chimera is so good at the moment is the fact that it can take double heavy flamer. Give the Taurox that option and make it really fast. You're starting to create this wedge between the two vehicles, which is what you want to do. Because what you then have is if people are there going, well, I could take double heavy flamer Chimera, but my double heavy flamer Taurox it's really fast. It's going to get there. Now, you could give it a Taurox flame cannon, make it 2d6, and guess what? Make it assault. So this thing could move, advance, and still fire its weapons. Now you're talking about fast. Now you're talking about breakthrough. Now there's one other additional thing that I would definitely consider for the Taurox, which is, and it should be brought back for the Chimera as well, but if it's not brought back for the Chimera and the Chimera retains its las-gun arrays, then the Taurox should definitely get firing slits back. It has them on the model. It used to be that you could fire a couple of special weapons out of those firing slits. We need to bring that back again. Definitely. And that again differentiates it from the Chimera. Because what you have, if you let's say you add all those rules, you just go nuts, you add all those rules to the Chimera. To the Taurox, sorry. Then what you have, you can compare the Chimera to Taurox. The Chimera is slower, but it's tougher. Okay, it has more long-range firepower options. It can hold infantry. It can be used as a command and control vehicle, and it is essentially it defines the Chimera as what it is, which is a mobile, long-range fire support pillbox. Then enter the Taurox, which becomes, by definition, this weaker, significant. You could drop it down to toughness 5 or something crazy. Okay, or you could make it toughness 6 but only give it a 4+ save. But you drop it down to this significantly less durable, but much faster unit, which is able to speed wherever it wants to go. It's able to double heavy flamer the enemy and just flame them to death. And then it's unique because the guys inside don't need to get out to fire those special weapons. A couple of metal guns on the inside. Nice. Works very well. Now, I think there's one other fatal flaw with the Taurox that needs to be addressed. And if it only gets the movement buff, if I had to pick like the 2 buffs that I would give it out of all the ones that I've suggested, I would give it the movement buff and I would up its carrying capacity to 11. Right now, one of the main things that really, really kills the Taurox is it only has a 10-man carrying capacity. Don't need to give it 12 like the Chimera, but it does need 11. If you're going to be making it used by regular guardsmen, it needs to have the ability to carry an officer as well. Without it, even if you took all the other buffs, without it, it's not going to be as appealing to the regular guard as a Chimera. So you just need to take that decision out of the equation, and then you can let guard commanders decide, do I need a tough, durable pillbox, or do I need a fast and fragile breakthrough vehicle? Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Please let me know if you think I am just mad and that those are way too strong buffs, or you don't think I've gone far enough. Any suggestions for buffs for units, Taurox, but also if you've got any suggestions for other units you want me to take a look at and fix the rules, let me know. Any other video suggestions, any other topics, please put them down in the comment section below. I enjoy reading all feedback and I make sure that I read every single comment. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.